Stevens. Should we kick things off, Maddie?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So let's welcome Kate Stevens to the Jump Music Podcast. Kate is the 2018 YYC Music Award Female Artist of the Year. Is that correct?
Yes,
and
that is
one
correct.
of the CBC Searchlight standout artists as well. There's like a whole list of things that you have done and that you're being recognized for. So thank you for taking time to join us.
Hey, no, thanks for having me. Like, I'm so excited to be here.
And we also recognize that you're a pretty big advocate for youth music in Calgary, and we definitely like to ask you some questions about your experience.
Oh yeah, for sure. That sounds great.
So we've got a list here. We don't really have like a format yet. So why don't we just kind of dive right in? Maddie, do you have? Why don't you kick things off?
For sure. Okay. So first of all, what would be your best advice to musicians that are just starting out? Maybe something you'd like to say to your past self.
That's a great question. This is going to sound really awful and cynical to start things off, but get good at handling rejection, and celebrate your peers' like strengths, and don't ask yourself, why didn't I get that gig and stuff. Just kind of think about why you didn't get that gig, but in the most positive light, for like, oh, like maybe next time I can work harder on these chords, or maybe I can work harder on my songwriting and stuff, and it'll work. Like, being a younger musician in the scene, I definitely found myself having friends who are a little bit older and achieving the success that I wanted right now. So just be patient. And I know that a lot of people say that, but yeah, handling rejection well, of just kind of picking yourself up by your bootstraps and really taking the time to think about how to grow and how to strengthen yourself as an artist.
It's hard not to take things personally sometimes, isn't it? Because as artists, you put yourself out there, and with your songs, you're just really sharing yourself. So I think that's good advice, Kate. And then to have a little bit of a thicker skin than you might normally have to have will help for sure. Good call.
Yeah, it was definitely a strange time of, like, I remember just starting out and I was about 13 and I was doing farmers markets and stuff. And I had applied for a bunch of venues in the city, and of course they were 18 plus. So I was like, well, why didn't I get those gigs? And then I realized in my brain, I was like, I can't get those gigs. So it'll come, but yeah, just figure. I'm learning that right now, just kind of being patient and technically going with the flow, if that makes any sense.
So speaking of gigs, underage gigs or different kind of venues, what shows did you start out doing when you weren't of age to be playing in bars or venues?
Yeah, I was a regular at the farmers markets. The Sweet Beat stage at the Kensington Sunnyside Farmers Market was a huge platform for me and a great kickoff. Busking was ginormous for me. It kind of had me try out some songs that people were just kind of walking by and they would stop and listen. I'd be like, yeah, that one's a good one. And yeah, I mean, the Ironwood has a great jam. On Wednesday nights, they had an open mic that the Ironwood has one of those classes for their liquor license that they can allow minors, and the Blues Can, of course. But yeah, I mean, just there was a bunch of places that you really have to seek out, and I think that's the most important thing for a youth community and music community, is find your other people, connect over Instagram, connect over Facebook, however you want to, and ask them where they're going right now. And it's kind of hard due to the current circumstances, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great places, but I definitely think start out with the open mics. Cafe Koi, of course, is just one of the most recognizable and one of the best ones for me, at least. That's where I started. My first ever real show was there. So Koi has a special place in my heart. Yeah, and I have to say again, just like the weather is really great. So I definitely recommend doing some curbside stuff. Maybe even just playing some backyard sessions with your pals. And yeah, that's kind of my words of wisdom on that.
That's kind of what we can do right now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Things are so different that maybe there's opportunity to do something really new and inventive. But the curbside thing is very cool.
Exactly. I mean, go on tour in your house. I mean, like, that's what I was going to plan on doing. Was I was going to host a tour of, hey, this is me in my bathroom. Hey, this is me in my kitchen. We're going to do 2 nights here. So I hope you like just your house is an all age venue. So get hip with the Instagram lives and stuff. I think that's a great way to do it right now. So yeah.
I also know that a lot of young musicians struggle with, they get asked to play for free or for exposure. And at what point do you think that it's like good exposure? Is there a certain point at which you believe your services should be recognized for a certain rate?
Yeah, my biggest joke is always musicians can die from exposure. And it's true. I mean, I remember playing shows that I like corporate gigs when I was younger, like probably 15, 16, and they would just say, "Oh, okay, great, you can grab some of the food," and that was awesome. And I was like, very cool. I definitely think that charity work is very important. If it's a charity you align with,
Sure.
that I think that you should just totally just participate and enjoy your time there, make great connections. But I think that if it's a paying show where there's food and drink and stuff, I think that you should be getting paid. And it's hard to negotiate, and I'm finding that now too, especially as a woman in music, is one of the toughest things to say. No, I need to get paid for this. I need to eat. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask. The worst they can say is no, and I'm learning that now. So yeah, I think that nobody should be playing for exposure. So
That's really good idea for you, or sorry, really good advice for younger artists too, because it's a uncomfortable thing to bring up, payment. And I think maybe the quicker you get used to that being a regular thing, or you being more comfortable to ask, the better off you'll be. So yeah, good.
Okay. Do you feel artists have enough opportunities in the Calgary youth music scene? And if not, what would you most like to change about the youth music scene in Calgary?
oh, that's a great question. For me as an artist, I don't know if I can just speak for myself here, but I am kind of in like the middle of genres. And I feel like Calgary is a very one genre box. Like we have country, we have all of these other things that are just kind of you're put in this stream, and the country promoters will promote you or the jazz promoters will promote you. And I think that the biggest key right now in the youth scene is collaboration. So don't be afraid to go to an open mic, and if there's someone there who's rapping, or if there's someone there who's doing beat stuff and you play the guitar, maybe just ask them what their inspiration was and see if you can co-write, because sometimes the best co-writes come out of like the weirdest places and the weirdest genre bending kind of situation. But yeah, I'd love to see way more collaboration, and I'd love to see a lot of promoters promoting youth, because I think right now the Calgary music scene is a little bit older, and it has been, and there are some really great established musicians here, but I would love to see more opportunity for youth, whether that be a Lilac festival, say like having an entire youth stage, or having another festival like the Folk Fest and having some kids being able to busk around the festival, and just opportunities that would kind of get pushed to the side if it were, not in the middle of a global pandemic. But right now, I think that collaboration is key, and writing is king right now. Like if you enjoy doing covers, find a singer-songwriter on Instagram, reach out to them and say, hey, I'm looking about writing here. Here's some songs that I've started. Like, don't be afraid of reaching out, because some of my songs when I was a little bit younger are not the best. I'm just gonna say that I've grown definitely as a musician. But yeah, I just think that just you should reach out to your other youth, and I think that you guys are doing a great initiative right now with everything that's going on.
That's awesome.
It's cool. I think that from an older musician's perspective, to see the ways that you guys can connect and collaborate these days is great, because there's so much. I mean, in the midst of COVID, yes, it's so restricting, but that being said, I see you guys utilize ways to collaborate just online and just, no matter what's happening. So I think it's cool to see, because it used to just be that, if you didn't meet somebody in person at a jam or whatever, you never made that connection. But now you can connect with people like just so much easier. So I see you guys utilizing that. It's awesome. Kate, what are some of your favorite shows that you have had in your career?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. This is ridiculous. So there's been a lot of great shows. There's been a lot of kind of iffy shows. But my favorite show, I play with a band called Sweet Berry Wine, and I sing with them and stuff. And we went out to Fernie for the Northern, And it was my first time playing a show in like BC. It was insane. And it blizzard, it was insane. But we played for like the whole night, and Cam, the keyboardist, had to go to work the next morning. So we slept for like an hour and then went back on the road. And although it was kind of chaotic and insane, it was just playing with other musicians and having that energy. And that's something I adore, is being on stage and connecting with other people. Like, solo shows are great, and they definitely can feel, and you can feel that in the motion, and you can feel it with the audience, but I love playing with other people. And I don't know if that's selfish because I'm a singer, but
no, but it's the energy that we all feel when we play with other people. It's important.
It's definitely important. I got to play the Jack Singer about 2 years ago for, it was a Stampede show band, and the YCs were there. So it was all about celebrating our city. So I was able to go perform like 3 songs. And this is a weird story, but I was supposed to wear heels for the night because I had this beautiful green like ball gown. It was beautiful. But I just couldn't stand and move and feel grounded. So I took off my heels and I went on the Jack Singer stage with no shoes in a ball gown, and I had my ukulele, and like there's photos of it, and I was like, why did I do that? But it's amazing how one act can totally shift your evening, right? And for pre-show rituals and stuff, like my biggest pre-show ritual is listening to the song "Party for Two" by Shania Twain. It's not the best song. It's probably one I've heard, not the greatest. But I have to listen to it unless I don't have a good show. And I know that it's placebo, but finding things that kind of give you that, oh, well, I did this, I'm going to have a great show. Like whether it be drinking a whole glass of water or like just brushing your teeth, just one tick that I found that if I do that, I'm guaranteed to have a good show. So that's my words of wisdom about that.
Very
you bring
cool.
up an interesting point about traveling to BC. Is there other places in Canada that you've played and you've seen aspects of the music scene or the music industry that you would like to see adopted in Calgary?
Yeah, for sure. I got to play Canadian Music Week in Toronto, and that was absolutely insane. It was so amazing. And they have a really, really heavy R&B scene there, which I don't think we have a huge artery to in Calgary, just due to the folk and roots and the kind of country we've grown as a music community. But I would love to see the rap artists. I'd love to see more like blues and more hip hop and stuff kind of find its way into our music scene. And yeah, it was just great. And I've played the Owl in Lethbridge, which is crazy because Lethbridge is such a small little place, but all the musicians know each other there as well. So that was really, really cool to see how everyone has a different kind of music scene, but it's very similar to ours. So yeah.
Wow.
It's important to go on the road and to see that. I think I remember, being a young musician and being really influenced by all the other bands that I saw in the different cities. Because you kind of go there and sometimes you get your ass kicked by another band, and it's great for you, and so this is the way you can, see different stuff and be inspired. So yeah, it's not as easy to go on the road these days, obviously, but
yeah,
it was an important thing for me for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely important to like kind of like you said before, get your ass kicked. I remember I would do a lot of talent competitions, and it's the same thing about rejection as like this person would go on before me and just blow everyone else out of the water, and you kind of have to celebrate that. Like we're all in this together, basically. So celebrate your friends. If they get a show, like just say congratulations, and that's the best you can do. Get really good at writing grants too, because that is important.
Have you been successful with grants?
I've gotten a couple SOCAN grants. I got the Youth Writer Award in 2018 for SOCAN, which was amazing. They've given me travel grants, like we said before, about going on tour and stuff. That's really important. Factor, not as successful. And yeah, like the Juno Masterclass is coming up. So, just apply for that. Alberta Music has some really, really good, they have like a list of all the things that we can apply for right now. And same thing with CADA. And SOCAN is doing artist they're giving out very small grants of money to musicians who've gotten X amount of royalties over the year. So it's looking in and finding those resources, because there is money to be had, but you just have to search, and it's grueling and awful, but it's totally worth it.
They do make you work for it, though. That's for sure. So that process is, it's an endeavor. I know.
Yeah, it's long nights of drinking coffee and eating Mars bars and just kind of hoping to get it in before the deadline. So yeah.
So I'd like to ask, what musicians inspired you when you were first starting out?
Oh, wow. I remember in my bio, I had a love child of Carole King and Amy Winehouse, because my mom always had Carole King playing. She always had Joni Mitchell. Also, get into your parents' music, because we don't talk about that enough. Yes, dad rock and yacht rock are definitely a type of genre, but it's all coming back. Like, I remember just being in like the kitchen with my mom, and she would be listening to like the Beatles and all that good stuff, but she would also listen to kind of more obscure things like Kiki D and like just stuff that I never even thought about until I would listen to the song back on like my Spotify playlist and be like, how do I know this song? So that was definitely like the songstresses of like the 70s. That was kind of my first thing when I started to find my brand and kind of create this artist that I am today, was Joni Mitchell, Carole King, Carly Simon, just very of the acoustic kind of women who've poured their heart and soul into their songs. And heartbreak is the best material. I mean, like, I hate saying that because I'm happy now. I found a very wonderful boy, so I haven't been writing as many songs as I should be. But yeah, I just, it comes from real world experiences, and I found solace in my songwriting just because of the grueling teenage world that I was experiencing. So yeah, I mean, Aretha Franklin for sure. Like, now I've kind of found the more R&B soul artists that just slay me with their music and their stories. So it's all about kind of figuring out what you want to sound like by who you already listen to, right?
And that brings us to an interesting point as well. Do you feel like your songwriting has been influenced by those artists, or what is your songwriting process like?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember just starting to play with the boys that I play with, and they're very funk, soul, rhythm and blues and stuff, and I'd hear a chord change or hear a chord pattern that someone was playing, and I'd be like, I want that, I'm gonna steal that. So it's just kind of finding that chord pattern, and music theory does help. I mean, I did RCM and stuff, which is it helps. It's going to be a pain in the butt to do it, but knowing your keys and knowing what chord and knowing the national number system, I think, is a huge important thing. Because I remember if we're on stage and someone just does like a 3 or a 2, you know exactly which to hit and you know exactly where to go. But yeah, I think for me, like, I write all of my chords first, and then I do like a weird scat vocalization over top of them that just sounds like trash, but all of my phone is filled with those like those kind of voice memos. But yeah, finding what works with you, because everybody writes songs differently, right? So I like to steal phrases from my friends. There's one song that I wrote, and it was, one of the lines is "third light post on the left next to that old rundown church." And I was like, that's beautiful. I was driving her home and she said that, and I was like, well, I'm stealing that now. So, and then I wrote a song about it. So just, yeah, like I said before, keep your phone notes are your best friend, especially during this time. And if you're in the shower or if you're walking down the street and you have like a quick melody in your head, make sure you get that down, because it'll be gone in a second.
I totally, understand that.
Kate, are you mostly writing on the ukulele these days?
Yeah, I mean, I've been writing all over the place. I've been trying to get some co-writes in, but due to the current circumstances, it's kind of weird. Like, Skype writes are fun, but they have that delay, so it's kind of like on the news where they're like, now we're back to this person, and it's like a quick blip. So I've been writing on, I have my baritone uke right there. I have my mandolin, the soprano uke, and then one of my, I was in a band when I was like 18, and that was a really good start too. And one of my bandmates gave me I don't know if you can really see, it's like a white, it's a podcast, oh my god, anyway, it's a white like Squire that the back is all ripped open, and it was from Frog Fest like 5 years ago, so it's covered in mud still. So she has a story, but I've been trying to write on the uke just because I use a lot of weird different jazz chords when I play that aren't usually kind of native to the ukulele. So it's been really cool to explore that and find weird chords to make me sound a little bit like I know what I'm doing.
But also,
And go ahead, Maddie. Sorry. I was just going to say, what are you up to these days? I know, like, as artists, there's not really much we can do. But are you mostly writing? Are you recording it at home at all, or are you? What are you doing to keep yourself busy musically?
Yeah, I've been teaching a lot online. I find that it's so much fun to just kind of have like even an hour a day where I talk to a student. I'm a huge vocal nerd, so I love the kind of intricacies and like why it's doing what it's doing. So I've been teaching. I built a home studio just because for school, I'm in the radio program at SAIT, so I need to be able to voice commercials. I need to be able to like voice for clients and stuff. So I made that whole closet into a soundproof box. Much to the dismay of my mom, I drilled into the wall, and I've set up some shelves and kind of made this space my own. Just due to the pandemic, all of my family is home again, so we're all living under the same roof, and it's great to have a place to be. And I've just been trying to write a lot. I was doing a thing where I was learning a song a day. I was going through one of my old reel books, and the reel book is like for jazz and stuff. It's one of the green thick ones, and they have all chords on them. So I was trying to learn a new song a day just to keep my creativeness flowing, I guess. Writing poems and stuff that I would do when I was a little bit younger that I just didn't have the time to or anything like that. But I feel like as musicians, we've been gifted a lot of time, but you don't have to do anything right now. Like, don't feel pressure to write the next album, to write 15 different songs, to plan your tour. It's okay to just relax for a second. And I think that I know myself that I've been kind of going squirrely, kind of figuring out, okay, I need to be doing this and this and this and applying this, when we can just relax. I mean, what are we going to do?
You're right. It's hard. It's really hard to let that go. And I found that too, after 20 years of just like, trying to survive, but you're always trying to be ahead, and it gives you a stress that you don't know about. And then when it's taken out of your hands, I think that it really kind of helps feed our creativity, and we're back to like, finding out the things that we love about music in the first place, and not getting caught up so much in the rat race of our careers. And I think I totally feel that too. I think you're got a really good point there, because it's important for us to just kind of chill too, and not be so frantic.
Yeah, and that's something like, I know that when I first started, I was so proud. I was probably 16, and I was playing a show almost every weekend, and I was just like showing off to my friends and saying, how cool is this? And now, as a 20-year-old, I'm looking back and being like, God, I wish I was that busy. And just kind of appreciate the stress, because the stress means opportunity, So.
That's true. Yeah, I'm sure we'll all get, be happy to get back to it in some capacity.
Oh yeah.
I was actually wondering about what would be your best advice for young artists looking to promote and market their released music? Because I've noticed on Spotify, especially, your new single "Meant for Me" has reached some success, and I think we'd love to hear kind of your process for.
Yeah, for sure. I think that right now we are all our own marketing assistant, just because it's really easy to find your brand and find a cohesive platform. My platform of choice is Instagram. I adore it. I think there's so many things we can do with it. I'm just getting into TikTok now. I am 20. I feel very old on the app. But I think there's so many different platforms. And like I said before, figuring out your color scheme for your brand, figuring out target audiences, giving that target audience a name, and like creating a person. I took a course in Toronto for about 3 months, and that was one of the exercises they had us do, and I think it's so helpful of kind of figuring out who listens to your music and kind of promoting to that. And Instagram is great for the insights pack that it gives you. It shows you who's watching you, who's following you, why they're following you, like just all that kind of stuff, what time you should be posting at. So pay attention to your numbers. I think that's a really, really big thing. And for Spotify has amazing tools when it comes to promoting your music. When you upload your song, it'll ask you, hey, what does this sound like? Is this upbeat? Is this fun? Is this a summer song? And you type that in, and then it'll put you on playlists. whether it be an editorial playlist. That's the one that I got on. I got on an editorial playlist for Spotify Sweden. So all of my followers, all of my listeners are out in Sweden or Denmark or Germany or Stockholm. Like it's the craziest place. And I can't pronounce any of the cities that are listening to me, but it's all Spotify. And I think that that's so important to look at those numbers. And I know that I shouldn't be posting at like 9 o'clock in the morning because it'll be a different time over there. It'll be like 1 a.m. there. So thinking about taking that to account, if you have followers in Toronto or if you have followers in the States, remember that they're 2 hours ahead. Like it's my weird PR brain loves this stuff. Like I love statistics. So it's really cool to meld those numbers with your career. And as an artist, don't be afraid to promote yourself. I mean, like I know when I released my first ever single, I posted about it the day before, which is a bad idea. Don't do that. Like 3 weeks in advance at least, because I was just embarrassed. I was like, well, I don't want to ask anybody to listen or vote for me or anything. Don't worry. Like, get over that. So that's something that I would tell my younger self for sure, which is kind of don't worry about asking people to come to your shows. Don't worry about buying your merch. Don't give stuff away for free. This goes to like CDs, this goes for stickers, this goes for t-shirts. If you think that that's going to establish you a great connection because they have your merch on, do it. If it's your pal who says, hey, I can come to your show, but I can't buy your t-shirt, but I really want one, say that's all cool. You can buy it when your next paycheck comes in. And promotion is so big. And I think that's I could talk about Instagram and Facebook analytics for like hours. It's awful. So.
But that's some great advice, especially for young artists or young artists that are about to record and they want some insight on how to get their music out there.
Mm-hmm. Right. And they can get ahead of it now with thinking about that and being, ahead of the game.
And another fun hack, when I released Right Choice, I released it off of the platform TuneCore. So there's like DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby, a lot of great places you can release from. I chose TuneCore, and I still do. I love them. They're amazing. But the thing is, if you upload it, it takes at least 3 or 4 days for it to actually get out on all the major platforms. Mm-hmm. So while it could be released on your release date on Bandcamp, it might not be released on Spotify. So keep that in your brain when you're releasing your songs. Just say, hey, I know that this is going to take a 3-day lag. I'm going to upload it today. So on my release date on Friday, it'll be all uploaded on all of my platforms. Because that's kind of embarrassing when you're like, hey, it's out just on like one platform though. So just keep it in your brain it's weird stuff because like nobody tells you this stuff. So right. I want to make sure that everyone does the stuff that I did or didn't do.
No, Kate, this is perfect. And this is exactly the kind of stuff I think that we were hoping to get on this podcast from doing stuff like this. And, it helps people kind of like, save time, not make some mistakes, and just little insights like that are huge. So TuneCore and like is the same as DistroKid, and they're just different platforms for that?
They're the same platform, kind of. CD Baby is great. I've never used it. But yeah, TuneCore, it targets all of your major platforms. It tells you where you want to release it on. You can click off the box for which one. I think there's a subscription fee, but there's going to be a subscription fee anywhere. Like you can't just release it and not pay any money, which sucks. But it's super important to think about when you're thinking about doing your budget for your album release or for your EP release. Take into account if you got a grant, make sure you write down what you've been using your money for. Keep your receipts when taxes come, because that's awful to do it in 10 days and be like, why can't I write off this? Anyway. But yeah, just small stuff like that. What's another fun hack for releasing your songs? I think for me personally, I like to release all of my stuff on a Friday because you have a better chance of getting on the New Music Friday playlists, which are super, super important. And tell your friends to add you on your playlists. Like as soon as you release your song, say, hey, like share on your story, release my music. I put my music on your playlist, because then Spotify or Apple Music sees that there's interaction. It sees that people want to. Pre-saving is a huge, huge deal. you can set up on TuneCore or DistroKid.
Sorry, Kate, what did you say? What's a huge deal?
Pre-saving. So I don't know if you've, Aaron Pollock is a great example of this. He's releasing a song on Friday. So he asks all of his friends to go pre-save the link on like Apple Music or Spotify. So on Friday, it'll immediately download to your phone, which is very, very smart, because then Spotify or Apple Music sees that it has the interaction. It says, oh, people are excited about this song. So that's a big deal. So just, yeah, like learn from other people as well. Like there's other local artists who are releasing a lot of music right now. Mariah Stokes is a great kind of idol of mine for how she's doing right now. And yeah, the country music scene is kind of killing it right now with marketing and promotion. So yeah.
And there's a lot of great young artists in country right now, actually.
Yeah. I mean, we can look at Liz. She's great. She just released a song called Summertime. She worked with a promoter and like a graphic designer called Not Your Designer, and that's Juliana Lane. I think that's her company. So yeah, it's just, and then I think that hiring a graphic designer is very important. If you don't want to do it yourself, find someone to do the graphics for you for your art. Find someone who you trust. If it's someone from school or someone, even a student from ACAD, like or AU Arts or whatever it's called now. I mean, they have that kind of eye, right? And then you can base all of your branding over your album art, which I think is very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cohesion there. Yeah, really good points, Kate. Well, you have such great insights. We really appreciate you sharing that with us.
That's some awesome advice.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
And this is stuff that nobody taught you specifically. You gathered it all together and throughout your experience. So it's really wonderful that you'd share that with people listening.
No.
Where can we find you? Where can we find all your music and all and what's coming up for you that you can promote?
You can find me at Kate Stevens. I'm Kate Stevens Music on Facebook, Kate Stevens Official on Instagram. I'm on Spotify, Instagram, Apple, anywhere you consume your music, I'll be there. I am a part of the AB Spotlight coming up. We're releasing 3 new videos, 2 new songs. So those will be on YouTube probably this week, maybe next week if Alberta Music gives me my date.
Cool. And just on that note, did you just record that all at home yourself?
We did it at OCL actually. So
okay.
Cam, my keyboard player, and Kyle, my bass player, Kyle set up a quick session at OCL. We just used the space, and I got my friend to record the whole thing. My boyfriend took photos of us to get some promo stuff. So it was all very low budget. But Cam recorded the whole thing. He brought his laptop. He is a great sound engineer. I'm going to sing his praises for the rest of time. But yeah, like that was a quick, fast, easy thing. And I think as an artist, having visual media is very key. And posting for a reason. We can talk about this too, about how having photos, professional photos, are very, very important. Usually photographers will do 25 photos for like $100, which is like, it seems steep, but it's an investment, right? Like you're kind of investing in some great photos for your band, some great photos for you, filming a video. It doesn't have to be a music video, just something live off the floor that people can find, and that people, if you're applying for a grant, then they can say, hey, we like their music. If you don't have anything released, that's very important. So yeah, I think visual media is super key. And yeah, not just posting, like for posting, I think you can use your story for that. I love Instagram stories. And when you're using your Instagram stories, your feed will get more attention because Instagram sees that you're active every single day, and it'll push you on top of the algorithm. So use your stories correctly. Whether it be like, this is my cup of coffee in the morning, just do it.
Kate, it occurred to me that we might have to have you back on this just with more of like a social media specific chat, just because you seem to you have such a great knowledge there. And I know I could learn a lot from you too, but I bet you a lot of people would really get a lot out of something just that specific. Hey, Maddie, what do you think of something like that? We should maybe.
I would love to. I mean, like that's kind of like being an artist. Playing shows is amazing and writing songs, but no one's going to hear you if they don't know about you. So that's a very important part of your art is marketing and branding. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awesome advice. Thank you so much, Kate.
No, thank you for having me.
This is great. It's been awesome. We could go on for a long time. I think that unless Maddie, do you have any more questions for Kate at all right now?
No, not specifically.
No?
Do you?
No, I think that, oh man, I've really enjoyed this, and I've learned a lot from you, Kate. Please come back and let's do something.
Yeah.
Let's do something specific like that too, and yeah, let's do this again.
I would love to. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, cool. Well, take care of yourself, and yeah, we'll talk very soon.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. All right, bye guys.
Okay, thanks. Bye.